From the Lower Colorado River Authority, this is Wavelength.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the June edition of Wavelength. Well, it started out as a typical Memorial Day weekend on Lake LBJ near Sandy Creek. People were boating, picnicking, having family reunions. But by late Monday evening, the situation changed dramatically. The rain began falling Monday, May 29th, and was centered over the Sandy Creek watershed. And instead of moving through the area, the intense storm system stalled out. Between midnight and 3 a.m. on Tuesday, Sandy Creek was rising at unprecedented speed, reaching a peak of 32 feet, an estimated 130,000 cubic feet per second, or twice its flow during the Christmas flood of 1991. The situation was compounded by the geography of the area. This graphic shows the distance between the head of Sandy Creek to the confluence of Lake LBJ. As you can see, there is nearly a 1,000-foot drop in elevation between Enchanted Rock, where the heaviest rain fell, to where it meets Lake LBJ.
This is a very typical Texas-type flash flood, things that happen a lot in the hill country where you have that hilly terrain. This happened in an area that was up in quite a bit of elevation. You get 3 to upwards of 8 inches rain, and a lot of this rain then rushed downhill very quickly.
Well, we learned a lot about Sandy Creek. That's a very steep, small watershed, very rocky, and the way that storm moved in, it moved across the watershed, pushing the water ahead of it such that everything arrived at Sandy Harbor at about the same time, resulting in that tremendous flood wave moving through there.
As the rain continued to pound the area, it sent a wall of water headed directly towards the community of Sandy Harbor. As the floodwaters swelled, 20 homes which lie within the floodplain were flooded, and some of them were destroyed. But fortunately, there were no injuries.
Tragic thing that happened. It was just real frightening. I just knew people were in that house and that house down there, and they couldn't get out. There wasn't any way they could get out.
My mother-in-law was down the street. She called and said water was in her house. She's lower than we are. As the water began to rise, we came out. It was at this depth here. In 10 minutes, it was 3 feet high inside the house.
That's a refrigerator, the white one, or a freezer. The blue tank is a pressure tank from a water system. That's another boat there, if I'm not mistaken, with the roof on top of it.
By Tuesday morning, the damage was visible. Homes had been ripped from their foundation, and debris littered the entire lake. Some people made their way through the debris, searching for lost boats and other valuables. What are you guys doing out here?
Trying to find our jet skis.
Lost our boathouse.
The boathouse, and
boats.
The 2 boats that were in it ended up on the neighbor's lot next door.
5 foot away from
We
the
didn't
tennis
lose
court.
that, but they're on land.
And before anyone had a chance to dry out, a second storm moved in late Wednesday, May 31st.
Yes, ma'am. Lake Travis at the moment is at 685. We don't anticipate it going up.
In a familiar scene, the LCRA had phone banks set up to answer questions. In Water Resources, engineers were tracking the system and passing information onto the news media.
And take whatever precautions may become necessary.
But perhaps one of the most dangerous yet important jobs was taking place in the middle of the driving rain.
Okay, it's May 31st. It's 11:10 at night. Because of the heavy rains tonight, we're having to adjust this number 9 floodgate to take care of the floodwaters that are coming in. All this heavy rain. The gate was 7 feet open, and now we're going to take it up to 9 feet open and see if that holds the water coming in. If that doesn't, we'll come up and adjust it some more.
When the rain finally stopped, the LCRA moved in heavy equipment and people to help residents with the messy process of cleaning up.
We were very lucky that the water didn't get into our house, and we're watching LCRA clean up, and they're doing a great job.
Some residents in the area felt that the LCRA should have done more to prevent the flooding, but according to a hydrologist, it would have been nearly impossible to see it coming.
We have gauges out on Sandy Creek, We have some that weren't operational yet, and if those had been working and we had 10 more gauges out there, it would not have helped us in this event. The rains just came too suddenly and too hard, and the water just came down too fast, and it got to Sandy Creek all at once, and there's nothing that our system could have done to prevent this or to predict this happening.
So really, several lessons. Need to not build in the floodplain, pay attention to the changing weather, and heed the advice of the National Weather Service when warnings are issued.
The final stage of the flood is the cleanup, and LCRA has moved in some very heavy barges here on Lake LBJ to help remove some of the larger items that are clogging the waterway. LCRA crews are working alongside a contractor to get as much debris out as possible. They hope to be complete before the busy 4th of July weekend.
As you can tell by the size of this equipment, we're able to move large articles that people couldn't typically handle on their own or with standard equipment. In fact, Monday we're going to deploy 2 more barges that we own. They're old barges that LCRA owns, so that we can keep the crane with a clean barge around it at all times.
The LCRA is also keeping a close watch on the water quality of the lake, and so far there has been little impact. Perhaps the best sign that Lake LBJ is returning to normal is the sight of boaters cruising across the water on a sunny summer day.
Most of you are aware of the transition taking place here at the LCRA, which restructures the company based on the 5 lines of business which are laid out in our enabling legislation. And we spoke recently with General Manager Mark Rose about this reorganization.
Well, what I've tried to do is reflect the way we're going to be doing business in the future. As I explained in my letter, or hope to explain in my letter that I sent to each employee, there are some changes. There's some regulatory changes, some legislative changes, and some competitive changes that are bearing down on us. I don't consider this change to be radical, and I don't think it to mean that we can't handle it. But we need to have an organization that is structured along the lines of business. So generation will be a separate entity, transmission will be a separate entity, water will be a separate entity. They're like business units or small companies. And then we have our 3 service entities. What I want everyone to remember is that even though we have these separate units, and we're going to have more freedom and flexibility below the line or down on those units, Dudley and Ray and Donna and Missy and those folks, they're going to have more freedom in how they do their business. But they're also going to have more responsibility and more accountability. And the one thing that I don't want any of us to forget is that we're going to have one culture around here, one company, and that's the LCRA, and one mission statement. And we're all going to believe in it, we're all going to be committed to it, and we're not going to allow a reorganization into a little bit freer business unit structures to erode 8 years of good, solid work. We're going to do the things that the people of Texas have asked us to do, and we're going to do them competitively in the future. I'm very excited about it. I think it's a good second step to implementing our lines of business. And I'm confident that we'll get through the transitions of how we're going to do information services, how we're going to do purchasing, how we're going to do accounting. I'm confident that we can get through that period successfully and end up with a better and a stronger organization.
More information about this reorganization and how it may affect you will be coming from the General Manager soon. If you worked around the clock continuously, it would take 41,666 days to work 1 million hours. For the 375 employees at the Fayette Power Project, it took just over 400 days to work 1 million hours and reach a safety milestone by not having a single lost time accident during that period. To celebrate the accomplishment, employees were treated to a barbecue lunch, commemorative caps and jackets, and some words of encouragement.
You've done an outstanding job. I want to thank you individually, all of you collectively. We have a challenge before us. You've done it on 1 million man hours. Let's go for the 2 million. Congratulations.
The fact that FPP employees were able to attain this safety goal was no accident.
We've made a lot of changes. Probably one of the biggest ones is the new philosophy of safety, that it's everybody's job and it's not the safety department's job. So a lot of the folks at the plant have taken on that responsibility. Safety committee at the plant's involved looking into incidents and accidents and trying to come up with recommendations on what to do to eliminate those possibilities in the future. All our workers are thinking about it. We put a goal out there of reaching 1 million worker hours, and if they would, we'd come up with the sharp caps and the coats, and it's worked.
Employees at the T.C. Ferguson plant in Marble Falls also have a very impressive safety record. Their last lost time accident was in December 1987.
The LCRA was one of 13 statewide winners in the 1995 Governor's Awards for Environmental Excellence. At a ceremony with Governor George W. Bush and the commissioners of the Texas Natural Resource Conservation Commission, General Manager Mark Rose accepted the award on behalf of the agency. The LCRA won in the comprehensive category, which recognized the agency for programs such as the Partners in Public Policy Forums, the Riverwatch Network, In Concert with the Environment, the Household Hazardous Waste Collection Program, and for establishing used oil collection sites around the service area.
The programs that were specifically mentioned in this award are truly award-winning programs, and the people that worked on them are to be congratulated. But the thing that's really exciting about this award is that it is a comprehensive award for all of LCRA. It's for everything that we do in our day-to-day business that works toward protecting the environment. The facilities are very involved with their commitment to limit our pollutant discharges. We're all very involved that work with the regulatory agency and our attitudes toward complying with them and toward meeting our environmental leadership policy. And so it's really an award to all of us and to the entire agency for what we do to protect the environment.
The June meeting of the LCRA Board of Directors was held on the campus of Southwest Texas State University in San Marcos. The board approved the fiscal year 1996 business plan, which calls for an operating budget of $438 million. Now that represents a 6% increase over last year and includes new revenue-producing programs such as the wind power project being developed in West Texas. The plan also calls for a continued freeze on base electric and water rates for our customers through the year 2000. Directors also approved a resolution honoring Executive Director of Power Production Walter Reed, who is retiring after 25 years with the LCRA.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Lower Colorado River Authority Board of Directors expresses its awe and appreciation to Walter Reed for his free, though unsolicited, legal opinion, for his meeting the challenges of expanding production with shrinking budgets head-on, for his excellent contributions to the Electric Reliability of Council and the Electric Power Research Institute, and for his management philosophy that gives his managers freedom to be innovative and recognizes the value of each employee. Thank you.
Mark Rose also announced that Electric Avenue at the Fayette Power Project will be renamed Walter J. Reed Boulevard in honor of his dedication and service to the company. Now that street name change down at FPP got our old friend Tom Glenn to thinking, and that's his subject for discussion this month on our postcard from Smithville.
Well, good morning. This morning I'm over here in Fayette County at the Fayette Power Project. As you've just seen on this edition of Wavelength, Mr. Walter J. Reed, Executive Director of LCRA's Power Production, has announced his retirement. I, like many of you, was kind of shocked at the announcement. I mean, it caught me completely off guard. Of course, I'd always heard what a great planner Walter Reed was, and granted, he did have the only department here at LCRA with a 150-year plan, but you know, if Walter's such a great planner, how come we didn't know about this retirement 25 years ago? Now, Walter did say he is going to be staying on with LCRA on a consulting basis. Of course, in my opinion, that's pretty darn scary. I mean, it's no secret that we don't pay a whole lot of attention to what our executive directors have to say, but you know, it seems like around LCRA when a consultant says something, we just take it as gospel. Well, they're going to be naming a street here at the Fayette Power Project after old Walter, and I just wanted to come down just to see what kind of street it's going to be. Of course, my immediate thought was it had to be a dead-end street, but I guess on the other hand, if it's anything like his management style, I guess maybe a one-way street would be appropriate. Of course, that's just one man's opinion. Of course, I did talk to old Tommy Higgins, the plant manager over at that Sam Gideon power plant in Bastrop. Tommy said he's seen Walter in action at enough board meetings to know if a street's anything like some of the answers he gives the board members, it'll just be one of those streets that goes around in circles. And of course, Mary Nichols over at the Club Ferguson power plant at Horseshoe Bay, he said, well, if the street's anything like Walter in general, it'll just be one of those streets takes off in about 12 different directions all at once. So won't nobody know which way it's going. But I'm gonna miss old Walter, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to say to Walter what I tell my wife when she heads off to the beauty parlor. Good luck to you. Well, I guess I better get on back over towards Smithville. So this is the old Supreme Commander saying, you know, you can fool all the people some of the time and some of the people all the time, but if you want to fool all the people all the time, maybe you'd like to try your hand at doing a little consulting for LCRA. We'll catch you next time.
Witnesses say flames were shooting 100 feet into the air after a natural gas pipeline, which runs under the Colorado River, broke open. Gas was still bubbling to the surface over an hour after the line had been shut off. The 20-inch pipeline, operated by Lone Star Gas Company, crosses under the river just south of Austin. Lone Star officials say the line was slated for replacement after a routine inspection last January found that it had been exposed. There were no injuries reported, and environmental damage to the river is said to be minimal because the natural gas rises to the surface and dissipates into the atmosphere.
One very special thing about the employees here at the LCRA is their willingness to give something back to the community. They support many worthwhile projects with their money, time, and sweat. Employees held auctions and bake sales throughout the year to raise money for the Up With Life picnic. The event was held at St. Ignatius Church in Austin for 200 mentally and physically challenged residents of the state school, MHMR, and Cameron Villa Nursing Home. One of the most popular attractions was this LCRA bucket truck.
It was a pleasure seeing some of the children and adults as well smiling and having a good time, getting to do things that they apparently don't get to do much. So I get pleasure from helping them out, showing them a good time.
The event included a barbecue lunch, bingo, music, and lots of prizes.
Mark, I'm up here with some very special people, people from the LCRA who are helping out here today.
LCRA volunteers were also on hand for the Children's Miracle Network Telethon benefiting Austin Children's Hospital at Brackenridge. The telethon was hosted locally by KVUE-TV Channel 24, and LCRA employees made a nice donation to this very worthy effort.
Well, on behalf of the LCRA Employees United Charities, we are happy to present this check in the amount of $5,000 to the Children's Hospital here in Austin.
All right! The telethon raised $1,114,000 locally for the Children's Hospital.
We use on this unit about 2.5 train cars per hour of coal to make this electricity.
This group of LCRA wholesale customers got an up-close look at the inner workings of a coal-fired electric generating plant recently as they toured the Fayette Power Project near LaGrange. They are members of MESA, which stands for Municipal Electric Service Association, and they represent 33 cities around Central Texas which get their electric power from the LCRA.
Well, the purpose of MESA is that so if one city gets in trouble, the other city can help them out. So we like to have 2 meetings a year. One in the spring, kind of a social meeting where we get to meet our counterparts. We invite the city council people, we invite the utility managers, the city managers, and we come and we tour some project. This year we toured the toured the Fayette Power Project. But it's a time that we can get to know what the voice on the other end of the phone looks like.
MESA was founded in 1967 and provides a forum for communication between its members and the LCRA. These 8 students from throughout the Central Texas area are the 1995 LCRA scholarship winners. Each student receives $1,500 a year plus a 1-year internship at the LCRA. Our newest scholars are Cynthia Allen from Del Valley High School, Dwayne Anders from LaGrange High School, Amy Mathis from Columbus High, Jennifer Morales from Brady High School, Jeanette Turner from Ingram Tom Moore High School in Kerrville, Tina Velick from Seguin High School, Amanda Walker from LaGrange High. Amanda is the daughter of LCRA employee Jim Walker, who works at FPP, and Rudy Zapata of Eden High School. Since the program started in 1988, 60 scholarships have been awarded by the LCRA.
Welcome to the 1995 All Employees Picnic.
From the Vernon Richards Riverbend Park in Smithville, that's it for this edition of Wavelength. We'll look forward to seeing you again next time.